everyone. Welcome to English with Min. Today we'll be looking at question type 2 on the TOEFL Speaking exam. Question 2 is one of the independent tasks, which means that there aren't any readings involved. I always find that the independent tasks are harder for students for two reasons. One, there isn't much preparation time. Test takers have 15 seconds to come up with ideas, which isn't much. Second, expanding on ideas is challenging. It's not enough to simply come up with ideas. You have to provide examples and supporting details as well. Today I'm going to pose a speaking question, and then I'm going to go over a few vocabulary words and expressions that may be helpful. Then we're going to craft together two responses, one for the agree side and one for the disagree side. At the end of this short lesson, we'll review key expressions, and I'll ask that you practice the question on your own. So the question that I have for you today is, should cell phones be forbidden in public places? So a question like this isn't too difficult because it's probably something that we've discussed at one point or other, and also it's something that we can all relate to because I assume that all of us, or most of us, have cell phones and use them regularly. So a question like this shouldn't be too difficult for us to approach. We're going to start off by looking at a couple of vocabulary words and expressions that we might be able to use for a question like this. The first word is distraction. So distraction is something that takes the focus away from an event or thing. For example, I was so distracted by the sound of the TV that I could not study. So obviously the TV is acting as the distraction because it's taking away from our ability or our focus on studying. Second expression is tunnel vision. Tunnel vision, we use this word when we're not able to see anything except for what's immediately in front of us, right? So when we're using our cell phone, this happens a lot, right? We get tunnel vision where we're not really able to see the other things or our surroundings. 3, fatalities. Fatalities is another word for deaths. 4, disruption. A disruption is something that interrupts something else. For example, he disrupted the class when his phone started ringing. Disruption may sound similar to a distraction, and there are some overlaps, but while distraction focuses more on not being able to concentrate, disruption has a stronger connotation. So when someone or something is disruptive, there most likely has been an action that has impacted others, whereas distraction really sort of focuses more on the receiving end. So a person may be distracted, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there was a huge disruption that also had an impact on other people as well. The fifth expression is to be considerate of, which means to be thoughtful of. And the reason why I put this expression here is because I want you to really focus on the preposition that follows considerate, which is of, right? So we say to be considerate of. Example, in class, we have to be considerate of other students around us. Next is on the go. So this is an idiomatic expression. We use this idiom when we want to say that somebody is always busy or always on the move, right? We use the term on the move as well. It means that they are always up and running, always moving around. Because of my job, I am always on the go. Another sentence we can use is, it's hard to get in touch with her because she is always on the go. Next, discreet. To be discreet means to be subtle or to be not too obvious. One restaurant I like has no sign on the door. It's very discreet. This sounds like many restaurants in New York, right? Where restaurants don't necessarily have large signs or bright lights. Next sentence is, she did not let people know that she was a celebrity. She was very discreet. Once again, it means to not be too obvious. Right, so 3 words that we looked at today, distraction, disruption, and discreet, all start with the prefix dis. Right? And when you have words like this that have the same prefixes, it might sound, they might be a bit confusing, but the important thing to remember is that dis means not, or the opposite of, something that's usually negative. And so all 3 words, distraction, a disruption, to be discreet, all have that sort of meaning of not, right? Or to have a negative connotation. So the 3 of the words, although they're unrelated, they do have something in common. So next, let's look at some ideas that we might be able to come up for this question. So I'm going to bring up the question again. The question is, agree or disagree, should cell phones be forbidden in public places? Meaning, should cell phones be not allowed in public places? And so we're going to look on the yes side first, right? So automatically, the first sort of idea that I'm coming up with is, they can cause accidents, right? That we shouldn't allow cell phones in public places because they can cause accidents. So we would come up with sort of a topic sentence, right? When people are more focused on their phones than their surroundings, they might not see cars or other people around them, which can be very dangerous, right? So now the question is, how do we expand on this, right? How do we build this? My first suggestion would be to sort of give some more detail. Like, what do we mean they're more focused on their phones than their surroundings, right? Or what do we mean when we say that this might be very dangerous? So I would sort of build upon those 2 things. This sort of tunnel vision results in people walking right into the streets and being so distracted that they can't hear cars honking at them, especially on busy streets. So now we have sort of a visual, a picture of what we mean when we're saying that people are so focused on their phones, right? We get this image of people walking into the street, right? We get this image, we can almost hear cars honking at them. And then finally, we can also add a sentence about how fatalities or deaths occur because of excessive cell phone use, right? And that way, we elaborate on what we mean when we say that this can be very dangerous. So let's put all of this together. When people are more focused on their phones than their surroundings, they might not see cars or other people around them, which can be very dangerous. This sort of tunnel vision results in people walking right into the streets and being so distracted that they can't hear cars honking at them, especially on busy streets. I often hear about fatalities that happen because of excessive cell phone use. Now let's go on to the second reason. For a second reason, we can also say cell phones inconvenience others, right? They can be a bother to others. Having cell phone conversations in public can be an inconvenience to others. Once again, to expand on this, we would have to really sort of dive into, what we mean by cell phones being an inconvenience. And also, when we're talking about cell phone conversations in public, what exactly are we talking about? What exactly are we thinking of? What sort of examples do we have? We can say, phone conversations can be loud and disruptive, especially in restaurants. Public places should be spaces where everyone can enjoy themselves, and I think that sometimes we need to be more considerate of others. So with that explanation, we sort of build on the idea of what a public place is and how a phone conversation can be an inconvenience to others. Now we have the disagree side. So the people on the disagree side would argue that cell phones should not be forbidden in public places. And for my first reason, I would say, sometimes we just need to make important calls. We can say we can't predict when emergencies will occur, and because we are always on the go, there are times when we need to make a quick call. To build on this, I would really talk about, what sort of, I would like to justify why this is, why why we should be able to use phones in public places. The purpose of having cell phones is to be able to use them when we need to. People should not feel like they have to hide to make a call. In this way, we sort of justify that cell phone use isn't all that bad, right? People should be able to use them in public places when they have to. Second reason, I think also in this, the question sort of assumes that all cell phone use is noisy and disruptive, but that's not actually true. So my second point on the disagree side would be that people use phones for many reasons. Nowadays, people use their phones to read news articles, study, and check social media. Not all mobile phone functions are loud. Some of them are discreet. I feel like this is sort of a point that we're not maybe thinking of when we talk about this task, but I think it should be addressed. We should not ban mobile phones just because a few people are bothered by them. Cell phones have far more benefits than problems, right? So now we're comparing the benefits that cell phones bring with the problems. And this view says that there are far more benefits. So we've looked at 4 different ideas, 2 on the agree side and 2 on the disagree side. I want you to take a minute, and hopefully you were taking notes as we went through these, to see how you feel about this issue and to see if there are any other ideas that we haven't covered that you think are important. And I want you to also review the vocabulary words as well. So the words that we looked at today were distraction, tunnel vision, fatalities, disruption, be considerate of, on the go, and discreet. And these are all words and expressions that I think we can use, beyond this particular task. We can use this for any speaking question and even on the writing section as well. I really want to encourage you to review again. And the most important thing is to practice on your own, right? So time yourself. Even though we've been through the question, it's a completely different thing to try it on your own. So time yourself, 45 seconds to speak, and good luck. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.